What's up, folks? Today I am in Denver, and not Denver, Colorado, but Denver, North Carolina, at the Brevard United Methodist Church. This is an African-American church that was built by formerly enslaved individuals shortly after the Civil War, and there are some efforts to make sure that this church stays into the community. We're going to capture, in the community rather, and we are going to capture what this journey is going to look like. There is a timeline in which the community, as well as community partners, have to make sure that this is a mainstay. You see, oftentimes there are so many different stalwarts in communities, landmarks, as well as people that unfortunately have to leave or are removed due to newness, due to just a change of ideology as it relates to what preservation looks like. This is an area that is rapidly growing due to the spillover from Charlotte. But hopefully the efforts that are being done today as well as in the future is one that's able to be a mainstay, and this place will be preserved. We're also looking to potentially have some descendants of this church, individuals whose ancestors have had a hand in building this church, also part of this video. So I know it's kind of loud, it's right by the road, but I want to give you a view of what the church is. This is an add-on to the church, but this is the original church right here, and soon we will be going inside of the church. And again, this is a church that was built by formerly enslaved human beings shortly after the Civil War. We'll get more into that, but this should definitely be fun, maybe emotional, but very timely, as we're seeing more and more of these buildings across the country unfortunately disappearing. So buckle up. Thanks for joining. Peace and blessings.
Only asbestos here, so that removal would need to be done from a remodeling perspective, which isn't hard.
Have those vendors too.
Yes.
So I would recommend getting that get in and out and
it's
done.
just dry rotting.
But looking at the way this structure is, and looking from the outside pieces, your bathrooms were never part of the original
Oh,
structure.
exactly.
Right.
So,
yes,
So if you only preserve the original, you'd have to add something to add
that's
those.
right. So depending on what those look like, if they're salvageable and we can do something with them, that's awesome. If we can't, then yes, it would be
Well, the
more of
plumbing's
an
there, so
outdoor
even if you had to do
structure.
something else, the plumbing's there, so.
so the power's been disconnected to the building from the pole out back. So we have that. The water's been turned off. The meter was supposed to be removed. We were all in going into
Right.
demo mode.
Yes.
So we had already got those things taken care of. They can be reconnected. There are big fees associated with doing that. But the power's shut off, the water's shut off, sewer's in there somewhere. It's just a matter of capping if that's the case.
None of those things would be needed at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed the first part of this, but were we talking about maybe the possibility of not trying to save?
So
Yeah.
the days are what
Yeah.
we're trying to look into that and just sharing and looking up, and you can see the original stuff here. So
Yeah.
a lot of this is cosmetics.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to know if there's anywhere this paneling, is there a place we can peek behind the paneling?
Right over here in the front, by this front pew, I mean, it's loose. I think a critter loosened it.
You were scared,
Yeah, I'm just-
me standing under the.
Right.
It was hanging right over the bed.
We might not ask that before we. Matt and I were just wondering too, if this was just put over what was there originally, or did they pull that off? And-
Yeah, but we can maybe try from that direction too.
Wow.
If I get bit.
How about any tools we need?
No, we'll just go by hand.
Okay.
And we're looking to see
What
if
is-
this
What
was
the structure is.
This is
Okay.
superficial on top of the existing wood.
So this is the exterior lap siding, so.
Okay. And that may have been all there was. There may not have ever been a finished
It may
interior
have just
wall.
been open skies.
Yeah, very possible.
so-
I was talking to somebody else about it. The painting, in this historic pictures, you don't see paint. It may never have been painted originally either.
it's,
Well, depending on when they cut the wood, a lot of times you never needed to paint.
And how
There's
expensive paint was.
something
in
right
the
here that's pretty
80s.
solid.
Very expensive.
That's where the.
Oh yeah, I just see that.
yeah, this is where the chimney is, but
Oh, okay.
that is
What is that?
feel like a tree branch, tree limb. But
Like
they
Like a
could,
tree limb.
Well, it's timber
that could have
frame.
been, it could have, yeah, it's a timber frame
So it's not-
structure. So at the age of this one, it would have been rough sawn. So you get a true 2x4 wood.
Oh, yes, you do. And it's good wood too, it's old growth. It's,
Yeah,
right.
it's first generation.
yes.
All right.
So in the 1870s, which this church was built, local wood is what would have been utilized?
Right,
Would that be
Yeah, in
pretty
the
accurate?
1870s, a lot of the structures at that point in time, your brick would have been made on site.
Okay.
It would have been formed and possibly fired on site. Your wood may have been sawn in a sawmill and brought back, so the trees may have not come from here to
Okay.
do that. It would have been, but it would have been from this region. They
Yeah.
didn't have
There were
a
sawmills
lot to haul
everywhere.
with.
Sawmills
Right.
and rail was in place by then.
Okay.
So the possibility of bringing it in from somewhere else would have been there,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that's how they did it.
Sure.
They would have done it as economically as possible.
Yep.
So that's how it would have happened. All right, let's keep it on the piece of paper.
Do we know when this second half was added to the church? Because
50s, I think.
50s?
I believe in the 50s, Matt.
What's that?
When was this added?
Oh, it's much later,
Yeah, it's those photographs
60s, 70s?
and more like in the 80s, 90s.
Okay, because those, when were those historic pictures taken?
I believe in the 70s.
Okay, so there you go.
okay.
So, and those are wonderful map
Right.
for us
Yep.
to follow.
All the more reason not to go to great lengths to try
Exactly.
to.
Yeah.
So right now, that would be my.
And you have pictures of the people who were the builders of the church?
No.
Do we don't have those?
We don't have pictures. We got the pictures of the church.
Are there
Okay.
any Henry Brevard
Those are on my,
pictures? Okay.
Yeah, I
on the
saw that
site,
on the
yeah.
site. Okay. Maybe if we are able to get in contact with some of the
Yes.
descendants, we'll be able to obtain some of
The
that.
oldest pictures that
I'm not
would have been
mistaken.
taken either about people or structures, Matt probably knows where they reside.
Okay.
Lincoln County Historical, and you also know kind of where to dig elsewhere to find.
And
So
learning more
any-
about that history,
yeah.
we really need it. We really do. I'm not finding much on Henry Brevard, so I want to learn more about that.
Here's your
because-
guy.
I think he died in 1902, so it's not long after the church was built.
Right.
Hmm.
I'd love to know more about him.
But his wife's buried right down the road in the woods in Bethel Cemetery.
Good to know.
Is he buried with her? He remarried, and I'm not sure where he's buried. Not sure. There's a stone for her over there, and actually it's the only, there are a couple of rocks that mark other burials, but hers is the only headstone with words on it that's standing. There could be something that's laid down under the leaves. And there's actually an Eagle Scout project right now that's cleaning up the area over there. Could be something to stop by and see.
Down the road.
Just over at Bethel, in the woods,
Okay.
just behind the cemetery, and that was it was referred to as the Colored Cemetery, Bethel Colored Cemetery, at the time. So. And I still haven't. And I was talking with Beth about this yesterday. I said I still haven't dug deep enough to find out how Henry Brevard got his land, but he owned quite a bit of land right here, back this way.
Okay.
And you know, there were white neighbors that owed him money. If you look at the deeds and stuff, they owed him as well. So he was fairly well off.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. And he actually, it appears that he deeded this land to himself as a trustee of the church and several other people in the community
Wow.
that were trustees.
Did I send you that deed?
It's amazing.
Jason Hart sent it to us.
So you haven't gone, you haven't been able to find out where all that began? Where it's-
Well, of course, now, I mean, we're talking about right after slavery.
Right.
So right after he would have been freed. Now, a majority of the Brevards in Lincoln County are associated with the Mount Tirzah iron furnace. It's actually closer to the church or the school that you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Mount Vernon. But maybe 7 to 10 miles away from here, near Macpila Church off on Plank Road. And so most of those Brevards descended from that plantation.
Wow.
So did the Brevards take the plantation owner's last name when they, after
Usually
slavery?
they did that, and they could, I've seen instances where they didn't take their owner's name because they didn't like their owner. They took the name of somebody else they did like.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not,
It's not a guarantee.
when you're doing black genealogy and history, it's hard to, people want to associate themselves with a certain family, and that may not be the case.
Okay.
So doing the research and doing the genealogy, the DNA and the stuff like that is,
And
it's
records
important,
weren't
it's
on the
important for
greatest.
it to be factual, it's
Be
important.
accurate.
The McCorkle name, so Alexander McCorkle.
Mhm.
What do you know about him? Somebody just posted that on my Facebook page this morning, saying that he was a great patriot, and now you've said McCorkle School, and then we know Reverend McCorkle is also
Alexander
here.
McCorkle.
Yeah, but is there an Alexander McCorkle further back in history that is associated with this area?
It's not with the area, those, as far as I know, it was probably more of a intermarriage
Uh-huh.
kind of thing, is the way the McCorkles got here,
Okay,
because they're more associated with Iredell County
okay,
and Rowan.
yeah. But the fact that there was a McCorkle School in the area, then they were,
Well, she was a teacher.
okay, and so it was named after her.
Yeah.
So is that his wife, perhaps?
Don't know.
Okay. All good things to be learned about. Female.
But the questions that are asked, I know where documents are that can help
Right.
us.
Okay.
So
Terrific.
I can't remember everything, but I
I-
can
That's
kind of remember.
You got a pretty good memory so
I
far.
can remember where the documents are that I read it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep digging. When we do come back with contractors, can we take off more of the?
Sure.
Okay, great. Because we're gonna need to.
I think
get
that's the only way you're gonna really see what's
Yeah,
back there.
exactly. Right.
Has the church been? I guess I don't know if they do this in the Methodist Church or not, but it's I guess a consecration or
Deconsecration.
deconsecration.
Yeah.
So it has been.
So, yeah, so you can,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Good to know.
So if I wanted to stand on this and lift the tile up and see how see what
You
they
wanna
did
stand
up
on
there.
that, brother, be my guest.
We got someone
Reach it
filming
up.
that.
Yeah.
I wanna see- I
Right.
wanna see
Put on the bloopers, right?
side of there.
Be an Instagram thing.
And we're already at work gathering names and leads and hope to be back very shortly with
Good.
people who know what they're looking at and how to fix it, hopefully.
Beth, the shiplap is behind the panel.
Oh,
It's just nailed to this shiplap here.
yeah. So it was sheathed on the inside.
So the actual roof, this is just dropped all the way from the top. It's not sitting, there's nothing right above it. There's not another ceiling above it other than the roof.
So it was open to the rafters then, possibly?
No. See, it has the,
Oh, gotcha. Okay, you were talking about the ceiling when you said shiplap. I thought you meant the walls.
the wall is shiplap
Okay.
right
Both
here.
are.
The ceiling
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm
is
sorry.
actually attached to the rafters. The
Got it.
wood
Got
attached to
it.
the rafters.
But it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I noticed that in the back, so this side, the front of the sanctuary is like this. But this is going this way to there, so I'm not 100% sure how it.
Did you say you did look up?
Yeah, I looked up there, and you can see all the way up to the.
I noticed in those historic
Yes, if I
pictures
use this.
of Matt, in those historic pictures, and people were actually.
I'm just going to show you all the other parts of the church. This was added on later on. Restrooms. the other restroom. And this was another room as well. And this was added on later. Have your kitchen back here. And this part may not necessarily be able to be saved, but hopefully the main sanctuary can be saved.
Lansing Days has done a lot of work. Really don't want to do it.
We'll find out more.
In this area, it was typical that there were mobile sawmills. People owned sawmills that they could just take from place to
You shine
place and
that up for
build.
me again. This got a great view up there. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that boom there.
So Sean, I talked to Sean this morning.
It's really
This week. Yeah, right there.
can
Mm-hmm.
really look at this cable. That's interesting.
This here?
Oh,
No, come on.
on
right
this
here.
side.
Oh, it's inside the.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Reinforcements.
Yeah.
Keeping the wall from.
Mm-hmm. So, did it have an original chimney in here? Something that
I think he had mentioned that a chimney was right over here.
Put like a potbelly stove or
Mhm.
something like that. Because it'd be going up and under. And sometimes they put the black pictures that some of them sat in the middle of the room and had a pipe that went all the way out over because would distribute heat better if it sat in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Matt was telling me these original windows were taken out and these replacements were put in.
And it's
Not
not
all
that
that
long
long
ago.
ago.
You know, those other photos. Who knows? I mean, sometimes, if you got really lucky, they could be underneath the church.
We did notice that the original transom, so we do have something original over the door, is the original transom. So we got one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but then we'll keep on finding more,
Yeah.
finding the clues.
So is there any, like, you could just guess what potentially was attached here? And we're talking about these two beams right here.
It could have been a window. It could have been another door, maybe. It could have been that they just did this when they installed the heat pump and they needed
yeah.
access to put in a chase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I need a light.
Hard to see much because of the HVAC.
Yeah. Maybe those original windows may be under here. It looks like there's another entrance over there to your right. Or something. Oh, let me get out your way, bro.
No, it's gonna give you some light.
Oh. Oh, yeah, you do that thing. Nothing over there?
There's so much HVAC stuff.
Maybe
It's hard
that
to.
whenever this HVAC was put
to
in,
see a
there
whole
wasn't
lot.
anything under there, then they were taking it out.
I'll need my suit for climbing around under there more.
And so you said that this land actually stretched all the way back there, right?
This eventually goes back to the lake, which of course was River Creek in that area.
I'm sure the baptism was
Actually,
were done
Little
back there.
Creek starts just across the street from the campground. That's where the source for the spring is.
Okay.
They call it Little Creek, but it was actually Lytle.
Okay.
The Lytle family, and that name evolved into Little.
Lytle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and that runs out to the lake as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cold spring, cold water, and that's why the campground is located where it's at. Found the source of water.
Now, that campground says 1830, but
Where it is right now.
Okay. When did the structures actually start?
Then.
In 1830?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now the tents that are there now.
Right.
You know, there are no original tents.
Okay.
They were made of log.
Mm-hmm.
So most of these, like some of the oldest ones, you know, they predate the 50s. The oldest ones.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, there's some very modern ones over there now.
Okay.
The arbor itself is original.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the arbor in the middle.
It says no trespassing, but can you drive through there? Okay.
Tucker's Grove is definitely an evolution out of Rock Springs. Once slaves were freed, they started their own campground because they had gone to camp meeting with their masters, and you know, I guess wanted to continue that tradition, so started their own.
Yeah.
And that was around 1874.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to some of the campgrounds. I've been to that one, Tucker's, and I've been to the ones that are in South Carolina. Been to like 3 of them in South Carolina. Yep, that area. Yeah.
I haven't been to that.
Yeah, pretty nice. Finding anything interesting down there?
So evidently they raised the floor in the choir loft area.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of the original.
So if you didn't hear me say they raised the floor at some point. Okay. And so the property line now is where the trees are at this point?
I think for the church property itself, it's just back here, and then there's another lot associated with it right there, so it's 2 lots.
Okay. Okay. So, in saving the original and how important that would be, what are your sentiments on that at this point? Especially being that, you know, you have everyone that's here, we're getting some background as relates to the history.
I don't think it's hopeless. I think it's possible. This is achievable. We're just going to have to put the right people together and find the funds, of course. But to be able to preserve this space, I think it would be a huge accomplishment, not just for this community, but for our whole region. Because the story this tells, it's such an important story.
And hopefully, yeah, I think it would be amazing, even if we're able to, if this is also able to be documented via film from the beginning to the end, that would be pretty amazing.
It would be.
Going to walk around the church here so you can see the backside. So this is the backside. Again, y'all, this is just nothing structured. This is just me recording the time that I've spent today with these folks. As you can see, it's a pretty busy highway over here, which I'm sure at one point of time it just was not the case. This is the addition right here. And this would be the original. I want to thank you for tuning in to this video and give a big shout out to the hands responsible for constructing such an important community structure after emancipation. There's a time crunch to save this church. Outreach has begun, and hopefully a collective end goal is accomplished. I plan on providing updates, so make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell to know when the videos drop. Peace and blessings.